Every nation has a flag, a symbol stitched into its identity. For England, that symbol is the red cross of St. George, bold against a white field. You see it at football matches, on public buildings, and woven into the Union Jack. But where did this flag come from? And why St. George? And how did a symbol of a Christian saint become the emblem of a nation? To answer these questions, we need to journey back through centuries of myth, crusade, politics, and warfare. The story of the English flag is not simple, but it is one of the most fascinating in European history. The story begins with St. George himself. George was a Roman soldier, born in the 3rd century, who became a Christian martyr. According to legend, he was executed for refusing to renounce his faith during the persecutions of Emperor Diocletian. Over time, George's legend grew. In medieval Europe, he was transformed into a heroic figure, famously slaying a dragon to rescue a princess. This tale was not just a story of bravery but also an allegory of Christian virtue triumphing over evil. By the 11th and 12th centuries, St. George had become one of the most popular saints in Christendom. Soldiers carried his image into battle, and pilgrims prayed at shrines dedicated to him. His red cross on a white background was recognized as his emblem, a symbol of faith and protection. The Red Cross of St. George first rose to prominence during the Crusades. European knights heading to the Holy Land in the late 11th and 12th centuries needed symbols to distinguish themselves in battle. Different nations adopted different crosses. The French carried a blue cross, while the English increasingly used red on white. By the time of King Richard I, better known as Richard the Lionheart, England had firmly associated itself with St. George. During the Third Crusade in the 1190s, English soldiers marched under banners bearing his cross. Richard himself adopted St. George as a personal patron, further cementing the link. From that moment onward, the Red Cross was no longer just a religious emblem. It was becoming a national one. In the centuries that followed, St. George's popularity in England only grew. By the 14th century, he had been declared the patron saint of England, replacing earlier figures such as Saint Edmund. King Edward III, who reigned from 1327 to 1377, played a decisive role. Edward founded the Order of the Garter, England's highest order of chivalry, and dedicated it to St. George. The saint's feast day, the 23rd of April, became a national celebration, and the Red Cross flew proudly on banners, shields, and standards. By this point, the flag of St. George was no longer just a military symbol. It had become a marker of English identity, visible in tournaments, parades, and religious processions. As England expanded its naval power, the flag of St. George also took to the seas. From the late Middle Ages onward, English ships carried the Red Cross as their ensign. It became a symbol recognized not only across Europe but around the world. During wars with France, Scotland, and later Spain, the flag was flown in countless battles, from the fields of Agincourt to the decks of the English fleet that faced the Spanish Armada in 1588. To England's enemies, the Red Cross became a sign of fearsome opposition. To the English themselves, it was a banner of unity and pride. The story of the English flag took another turn in 1603, when England and Scotland came under one monarch, James VI of Scotland and I of England. Suddenly, two powerful nations needed a shared symbol. In 1606, a new flag was created by combining the Red Cross of St. George with the white saltire of St. Andrew, Scotland's patron. This design was the first version of the Union flag, what we now call the Union Jack. But St. George's Cross did not disappear. It continued to represent England on its own and remained an essential part of the new British identity. When Ireland joined the Union in 1801, the Cross of St. Patrick was added, creating the modern Union Jack. But at its heart, the English flag was still there, bold and red. In later centuries, the flag of St. George sometimes slipped into the background. The Union Jack became the dominant national flag of Britain, and the English banner was often seen only in local or ceremonial use. Yet the cross never disappeared. It continued to fly on churches dedicated to St. George, and it remained the official flag of England. Over the last few decades, especially during international sporting events like the World Cup or the European Championships, the Red Cross has enjoyed a strong revival. Crowds of fans wave it proudly to show support for England. At the same time, the flag has sometimes been controversial, used by political groups to promote narrow or exclusionary forms of nationalism. But for many people, it remains above all a symbol of heritage, pride, and unity. So, the flag of England, the Red Cross of St. George, carries with it centuries of history. Born from the legend of a Roman soldier turned Christian martyr, carried into battle by Crusaders, raised high by medieval kings, and woven into the Union Jack, it is a symbol that has never truly faded. It has been a rallying banner in times of war, a mark of identity in times of peace, and a sign of Englishness recognized around the world. Whether flown from castles, warships, football stadiums, or suburban gardens, the flag speaks to a story that stretches back nearly 1,000 years. And perhaps that is why it still matters. Flags are more than colored cloth, they are living symbols, carrying the memory of a people, their struggles, and their triumphs. The Cross of St. George is England's story stitched into fabric, ancient, contested, and enduring. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this short audio history of the flag of England, please click the like button and subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to hit the notifications bell so you know when a new short history video has been uploaded.